Rachel POV. Come quickly. I'm sorry, but we need to get you in there as fast as possible. Adam had never touched me before. I focused on the feeling of his hand wrapped tightly around my upper arm as he pulled me out of the cab. He had a grip on me strong enough to bruise. I wouldn't have been able to get away from him, even if I'd wanted to run off. I was glad I'd prepaid for my rideshare because I didn't even have a chance to say thank you to the driver. What's happening? I felt panic rising as Adam towed me into Moonrise Entertainment by my arm. He was a man on a mission. I had no idea why he was in such a hurry. Adam shook his head. Your father has been here for over an hour now. He stopped being reasonable a while ago. I heard Patrick's voice before I saw him. I am your father-in-law. You've been fucking my daughter for 3 years. You owe me. I felt sick to my stomach as embarrassment swept over me. My father was making me sound like a whore. Why are you all just standing around? Don't you know who I am? I can have you all fired. Adam didn't respond to my efforts to tug against his hold. I stood close to Patrick before I was ready. You, Patrick yelled, spittle hitting me in the face as he shook his finger at me. I take care of you all your life, and this is the thanks I get. Your rich alpha thinks he doesn't owe your poor old Omega father anything. Tell him to give me my damn money. The only comfort I had was knowing Tyler wasn't in the lobby. Our partially severed mate bond let me sense him enough to know he wasn't close. Knowing Tyler, he was probably still in his office on the top floor, expecting all his subordinates to clean up the mess for him. My whole body felt hot. I knew I was blushing all over from humiliation, and I hated myself for reacting and Patrick for putting me in this situation. Why was my father so terrible? What had my mother ever seen in him? I wished I could talk to her, even if it was only one more time. It's his money, Patrick. Not yours, not mine. I already told you I don't owe you anything. I didn't think I needed to tell you. Tyler doesn't owe you anything either, but clearly you need it spelled out for you. Fire exploded across my cheek. I fell backward only to be caught by Adam before I could hit the floor. Omega scum, Adam growled, his wolf sounding far too close to the surface. I knew I should be at least a little scared of a werewolf close to losing control right behind me, but I wasn't afraid. Adam wouldn't hurt me no matter how roughly he'd grabbed my arm before. Adam was trying to protect me, since my father had slapped me across the face hard enough to rattle my brain. I could taste blood in my mouth from where my teeth had cut into my cheek. Guards closed in around Patrick and restrained him by his arms. I was surprised by how fast they responded. Why hadn't they just done this already? Adam ordered, "Take him out to the street and let him go. If he's smart, he'll get out of here while House Wright is still being generous." I straightened up, smoothing my hands down my dress as I tried to get myself back under control. "Why are you letting him go?" Patrick stopped fighting the guards to look at me with his mouth gaping open like a fish. He started to sputter curses at me, and I turned my back on him to focus on Adam. If he were anyone else, if he weren't my father, what would have happened to him for this kind of thing? "He'd already be in police custody," Adam answered. "Then call the police. This man has no right to be here. He should probably thank you for the safety of a prison cell. I imagine there are debtors looking for payment from him. They won't be able to reach you in jail, Patrick. That's payment enough, I think." "You dare. I swear you will live to regret this. You can't do this to me, you little slut. I'm your father. I'll always be your father." His voice trailed off as the guards dragged him out of the lobby onto the state. A police car appeared only moments later, making me believe Adam had only been waiting for permission to have Patrick picked up. What kind of trouble was I bringing to Tyler's place of business? I had to wonder if it was my fault. Patrick wouldn't have been at their office if not for me. As an Omega of a minor house, Patrick would have never been brought to the attention of the main House of Moonrise pack. The moon goddess had strange values. Tyler Wright and I couldn't be more different. Our families were complete opposites, and so were we. Rejecting Tyler as my mate was the right thing to do. I brought him trouble he didn't need, and he brought me pain I didn't deserve. We were all wrong for each other, no matter what fate said. "Are you all right, Madam Rachel? I can escort you up to Tyler's office if you feel you need to lay down. That bastard hit you hard." No, Adam. I waved him off, trying to keep my horror hidden at the idea of seeing Tyler after fighting with my father. No need, I'm just fine. I'll take a walk, enjoy the sun, and get some fresh air. Hopefully you won't have to call me again. Adam mumbled something to me as I backed away from him before rushing out of the building. I needed to put some more distance between myself and Tyler. The last thing I wanted was Tyler trying to play hero to me after I'd been attacked by my own father. Fresh air also sounded good for my nerves. I felt shaky from the confrontation and knew my hands were trembling at my sides, so I fisted my skirt to keep them still. I knew there was a small park not far from Moonrise Entertainment. I'd sat on the benches there many times in the early days of my mating, working up my nerve to bring Tyler his lunch. Finding an empty bench, I took a seat and tried to remember how I'd felt in those days. Hopeful, excited, confident. I was full of dreams for our future as a mated pair, and now I couldn't bring up even a shadow of those feelings when I thought of Tyler. I don't think he had ever wanted me outside of that first night in the bedroom at Lust. My phone buzzed from an incoming call, and I answered without thinking or checking the caller ID. Hello? Tell your father that can't happen again. Tyler sounded angry enough to kill. Good. I felt angry about Patrick myself. We were on the same page as far as my father was concerned. It won't. I told the guards to call the police and left instructions he had no business at Moonrise Entertainment. He will be arrested immediately if he tries again. I was told he was taken into custody today. He was, I explained. Adam had the police pick him up as soon as his feet hit the sidewalk. You shouldn't have to worry about my father in the future. He won't have any reason to come near you or your pack holdings as soon as you accept my rejection. I heard Tyler breathing on his side of the line. I knew I had struck a nerve by reminding him of the hanging rejection. You're certain you want this rejection? For a moment, I wanted to ask him why I wouldn't want a rejection from him after 3 years of misery. I am. Tyler said, Fine, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. sharp at the Garden of Our Blessed Goddess. I wasn't surprised he hung up before I could respond. Tyler was used to giving orders, then having them obeyed. He didn't ask permission for anything from anyone. He'd ordered me around our entire mating. The joke was on him because I was the one who wanted this order more than anything else. I was going to be free. I found myself smiling so hard it made my cheek hurt. Damn you to hell, Patrick. Why did you have to hit me so hard? I was clearly cracking under the excitement if I was talking to myself. My face felt hot to the touch, and I knew I'd have a bruise for a while until my healing factor kicked in. Bella would loan me some concealer so no one would notice at work. I stood up to make my way to her apartment, and everything went black. Rachel POV. Panic caused me to sit up as soon as I came back to consciousness. Everything was white and bright and confusing. I tossed the blankets off my body and swung my legs over the side of the bed. What? Where am I? Hello? White curtains parted before me as a woman in a nurse's uniform came rushing to my side. Hey there, she soothed. No need to worry. You're here at St. Mary's Hospital. A good Samaritan saw you on the ground in the park. He called 911. How do you feel? She rubbed my back as she comforted me. Her voice was friendly, calm, and so truly kind I never wanted her to go away. Kindness wasn't something I received often. I feel dizzy. What's wrong with me? I had been a lot of things in my life, but physically I had always been in good health. I was a strong wolf even if I was mostly long limbs and lean muscle. I was rarely sick, even as a child. Well, Rachel, can I call you Rachel? We got your name off the ID you had with you in your bag. I'm Nurse Betty. Do you feel okay to talk? Nodding, I raised a hand to my face where I felt the fading bruise from my father's hand. I winced as I realized she probably thought I was an abused woman. What else should she think? Rachel is fine, Nurse Betty. Can you fill me in on whatever I've missed? Nurse Betty sat beside me on the bed and patted my thigh before turning to face me. I started to feel nervous at how serious she looked. Was I really sick? Had something been building up inside me without my knowledge? Cancer affected werewolves very rarely, but it did happen. What kind of irony would it be if I escaped my horrible mating only to die soon after? Don't look so grim. We initially treated you as a Jane Doe until your purse went through the nursing aides for cataloging. You've been here since yesterday afternoon. Do you remember yesterday? I had an altercation with my father. I went to the park. I remember being in the park, but I don't remember an ambulance or being brought here. Betty smiled apologetically. You were very out of it when you came in. Your blood pressure and blood sugar levels were all over the place. I took over your care at 7 a.m. this morning. This is the first time you've been awake since your arrival. That was somehow comforting. I didn't have gaps in my memory because I remembered everything until I'd lost consciousness. But why had I fainted? Why did I faint? Did my father hit me that hard? No, the nurse shook her head. We did a head CT to clear you of any brain damage. It was purely your blood levels. You're going to need to be much more careful in the future, or you and your baby are not going to make it through this pregnancy. Do you understand? Baby? What baby? I was afraid of that. You're pregnant, Rachel. Probably not more than a few weeks. Honey, are you being abused? We can offer you help. A cold chill washed over me from my scalp all the way down to my toes. I flexed my feet as I realized I was barefoot. I hoped they'd kept my shoes because I only had the one pair suitable for work. Rachel? Shock. I was in shock. What? I asked, my lips numb and tingling. Tyler and I had last had sex a few weeks ago. We used protection every time. I had wanted children as soon as I realized I was with my fated mate. I'd wanted a big family. Is someone hurting you? The father of this baby, maybe? You have options. You may not think you do, but there's help available if you need it. Tyler had never wanted children because he believed children in alpha households were only used as bartering chips. Starting a family was one of the only things he'd ever discussed with me in depth. No, I'm separated from the father. Wait, what time is it? I've been here overnight. Panic shocked me back into motion. I was supposed to meet Tyler at the moon goddess shrine in the garden of our blessed goddess. The tile was cold under my feet. I flung the curtains back from around the hospital bed and stared at the bright sun coming through the window with horror. There was no way I wasn't late. It's a little after noon. Rachel, you need to sit back down. No, I do not. I need to leave. I need to use a phone first, and then I need to leave. Where is my phone? My shoes? Please bring me my things. Nurse Betty wasn't to blame for my predicament. I didn't want to snap at her. I only wanted to get out of this hospital as fast as possible so I could meet up with Tyler to sever our mate bond before he learned of my pregnancy. I wasn't sure how I felt about the idea of carrying his baby. All I knew was I didn't want to give him any further reason to delay our separation. I was not spending any more time being mated to him. I was going to be free. I'll get your things. First, let me do a quick checkup, okay? I'll help you get out of here if you need to leave. I just want to make sure you're leaving because you want to leave and not because you're afraid. I am not afraid of anything except rescheduling the meeting I missed this morning, I admitted. Other than being pregnant, I'm fine, right? Yes, Nurse Betty agreed, looking concerned as she made her way out to the hall. You're fit as a fiddle. Then get my belongings. I need to leave. Now. Leaving the hospital took almost an hour in total. I'd been worn down into agreeing to meet with a high-risk OBGYN for a full physical later in the day because of my blood levels. By the time I was wheeled to the entrance to meet my rideshare, I was a complete emotional wreck. I waited only until the car door was closed to pull out my phone to call Tyler. Oh, Rachel, so good of you to call, Jenny said as she answered Tyler's phone. I stared straight ahead with a million thoughts going through my mind at once. I had to be careful. I couldn't let her get to me. Tyler had to think nothing was wrong, so he would meet me to complete the rejection ceremony. Jenny, lovely to hear your voice. Is Tyler available? He was available this morning, Jenny cooed, laughter coloring her tone. He's not available now. I hung up before she could say anything else. Jenny could make me angry. I knew she could. I wasn't afraid of her. I wasn't even angry. Tyler had sought out her company after I missed our rejection ceremony. Tyler could have his other women. He just needed to reject me. Hello, driver. Could you please take me to this address instead? I gave the rideshare driver Bella's apartment address rather than the garden. I knew I would wind up waiting alone at the shrine until I could get Tyler to agree to meet me again. All the hospital staff had been adamant I understand I needed to take care of myself while pregnant. I hadn't eaten anything. I would go back to Bella, eat something, drink some water, and hopefully have my best friend help me figure out what to do next. I gave the driver some cash from my wallet. I didn't count it. I hoped it was a decent tip, but at least the rideshare app paid them automatically. "Rachel?" Bella called as I opened the door with my key. "Bella! Oh, goddess, I'm so glad to see you. What happened to you?" "Tyler called, and I didn't know what to tell him. I said you would call him back. I passed out at the park yesterday. They brought me to the hospital via ambulance, and I just woke up today, a little after noon. It took forever to get them to let me go. You'd never believe all the—" "Rachel, what happened? Why were you in the hospital?" Bella rushed to me and placed her hand on my forehead before gently touching my cheek. I knew the bruise there was almost gone. Werewolves heal faster than humans, but it was an ugly color without any makeup to cover it. "I'm not sick. The bruise is from Patrick. He wanted money from Tyler. I told him he couldn't have any. I told Tyler's beta to let the police have him. Then he hit me. Patrick, not Adam." Bella scrunched up her face in confusion as she took my hands to lead me to the couch. "You passed out after you got hit? Why did you pass out?" I sat beside Bella on the couch and faced her. She looked so worried I couldn't help smiling. "Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just pregnant." Rachel POV. "Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just pregnant." "Pregnant? Blessed goddess. Is it Tyler's?" "Of course it's Tyler's. Who else would it be? What are you going to do?" Bella echoed every emotion I had felt myself in seconds. I couldn't help laughing. I marveled again at how lucky I was to have her in my life. She was the best friend anyone could have asked for, and I felt as if I could figure all this out with her at my side. "I have no idea. I have to see a high-risk doctor today." "Baby doctor. Will you go with me?" Rampaging lichens couldn't stop me. "Why do you have to see a specialist?" "I was told it was because of having lost consciousness. Something about my blood? I'm sure if Tyler were to find out, he would blame it on my Omega bloodline." I couldn't help the bitterness in my tone. Tyler had said he didn't want children, but a small part of me wondered if it wasn't more he hadn't wanted children with me. Our entire mating was soured by his father's disappointment. I came from an Omega bloodline as much as from my own lie. John Wright, Tyler's father, hated his son, had not been paired with a higher-ranking mate. In his opinion, House Wright deserved better than me. "That sounds like your father-in-law talking. You know there's no proof Omegas have weak blood." Bella rolled her eyes and snorted. I grinned at her for bringing me out of my negative thoughts. "I know. I'm not sure what I want it to do right now. I suppose I want to see what the specialist says. I may not keep it." "Really?" Bella looked shocked. I didn't blame her. We had always talked about having children together. She was excited by the idea of having a family with her mate the way I had been when I'd found mine. Nodding, I admitted, "I'm not in the best position to be a single mom. What if I need a lot of medical care? Or if I can't work while I'm pregnant? And when it gets here, how will I work and care for a baby by myself? It's a lot to think about." "It is," Bella agreed, worry coloring her tone, "but I have a hard time imagining you choosing to have an abortion. You've wanted a baby of your own forever. I just don't want you to make a decision you'll regret. We could find help for you. Lots of single women have babies, right?" "I guess," I shrugged as my thoughts turned back to Tyler and pointed out, I would also have to deal with Tyler. He would find out about the baby eventually, and then what? Do you think he'd leave us alone? Bella continued to look worried, but didn't say anything. Her lack of response was more of an answer than any she could have given. Tyler Wright was a stubborn alpha, and we both knew it. In our world, the higher-ranking parent had the most rights to the child. Tyler could take my baby if he chose, since he was an alpha and I wasn't. Pack law was on his side, not mine. I wouldn't even have the option of appealing in a human court because we had never married. I don't know what I would do if I had this baby and Tyler took him or her away from me. Would you rather the baby wasn't born at all? Your baby would be so loved. By me, I pointed out. And me. And my family. We're here for you too, Rachel. Don't think you're alone just because of Tyler. My eyes drifted to Bella's mate mark again. I wished I had her life. A mate who loved me, a supportive family, and a promising career in the field I loved. If I were Bella, I'd definitely keep my baby. How about you go shower and change your clothes? I'll call work to let them know you need a few days off. Okay? I nodded my agreement as I went to freshen up. I wanted to feel clean after spending overnight in the hospital in the same outfit. I chose a simple dress and pulled my hair into a ponytail. I'd never been to a specialist doctor for anything. I figured I couldn't go wrong with classic styles. Checking the time, I took a deep breath and retrieved my phone to call Tyler again. It rang a few times before being picked up, only there was no answer on the other side of the line. Hello? Tyler? Who else would it be? Tyler growled at me. I didn't bother mentioning Jenny had picked up my earlier call. He hated having his time wasted and he was in a foul mood. I bet he wanted to kill me for missing our appointment. I just thought someone else might be answering your calls. You might be busy, I mean. I am busy, Tyler snapped. Unlike you, some of us have obligations to keep and the integrity to keep them. I winced. I knew he'd be angry. I couldn't argue with him or explain without giving him ammunition against me to prevent finishing our rejection ceremony. I am truly sorry I missed our meeting. Something came up I couldn't skip. What else could I say? I couldn't tell him I was unconscious in the hospital due to pregnancy complications. Tyler didn't bother to reply. Tyler, I swear I will meet you tomorrow anytime you like. I will go to the garden of our blessed goddess first thing tomorrow morning and wait there all day for you to finish the rejection ceremony. Tyler made a rude noise. I just bet you will. All you can think about is this rejection, yet when I go to give it to you, you don't bother to show up. Go to the garden then and wait. I'll see if I can make time to meet you. Tomorrow, right? I prompted. Tomorrow. If I can make time. I'm a busy man. Tyler hung up before I could say anything else. I stared at my phone and wished Tyler had greeted me with any affection at all. Squaring my shoulders, I practiced smiling in the mirror before going out to meet Bella in the front room. We better go ahead and call a ride. Are you sure you want to go with me to the appointment? Bella hugged me spontaneously, nearly squeezing the life out of me. I laughed as I hugged her back. I guess you do want to go, huh? I love you so much, Rachel. Everything is going to be all right. I gathered up my own enthusiasm for the appointment. I had spent enough of my life feeling sorry for myself or being miserable. Now I was a free woman. I was going to enjoy all the adventures life had in store for me. We made it to the appointment a little early. I was grateful Bella called off work to go with me. There weren't any single women in the doctor's office. Everyone had a partner at their side. The doctor asked routine questions before offering, all your lab results show you're going to be fine as long as you take it easy. What kind of employment do you have? What's your profession? I work at a restaurant. I play the piano as the accompanist to the singer. Good. You're not on your feet all day, right? You're not turning cartwheels while playing or juggling flaming swords? No, I laughed. I'm on a bench the whole time. No cartwheels or flaming swords involved. I will say you need to keep to a schedule. Eat on time, drink plenty of fluids, sleep regularly. Pregnancy isn't easy on the body, even if you are a very strong wolf, Rachel. I'll make sure she sticks to the schedule, Bella stated confidently. Being a single mother was not how I had imagined my life after rejecting my alpha mate. I squeezed Bella's hand before turning toward the doctor again. I had to ask the question. I needed to know the answer to make an informed decision. What if I don't want to keep this baby? The doctor looked surprised but carefully got his features back under control. You're still early enough in your pregnancy for abortion to be an option. I would suggest you discuss it with the baby's father first, but the decision is yours alone to make. How long do I have to decide? The doctor looked at the bruise, which was almost gone from my face, and his eyes seemed to soften toward me. A few weeks at most. Wolves have pregnancies the same length of time as humans, but a wolfen pregnancy can be harder to terminate. The fetus develops features faster even though it doesn't reach maturity any earlier. The idea of the baby developing features had me cupping my free hand over my belly. I was still slim with no indication of pregnancy showing. How long would I be able to keep this secret? Rachel, I don't know your circumstances. I do know you're young and healthy. You should be able to have more children if you choose not to carry this one to term. However, I do urge you to reach out to the father or family support you have before you make your decision. I thanked the doctor and let Bella make my follow-up appointment arrangements while I made my way out of the office. Would Tyler want this baby if I told him about it? Did I care if he wanted the baby? I sent a text to Tyler saying, "I will meet you tomorrow for the rejection." His reply was simple and to the point. "I won't be there. Unlike you, I'm very busy." Did that mean he was too busy for a child too? Tyler's POV. Letting out a shout of rage, I launched my phone at the wall where it shattered into pieces. I clenched and unclenched my fists at my sides, repeatedly. I really wanted to punch someone. "I'll get started on replacing your phone. Let me guess, Rachel?" "Adam, if you don't want me to beat you like I own you, you'll shut up." Adam snickered. "Technically, you do own me. I swore complete allegiance to you at my beta ceremony. Remember?" Yes, I remembered. I remembered everything all the time, which was most of my problem. I couldn't forgive Rachel for lying to me. Every time we were together, all I could think about was how she'd lied to me for money. Her father, being a worthless gambling addict, didn't help her cause either. Every single time Patrick showed up, I had to write a check. I deliberately chose not to keep track of the debts I paid off for him so I wouldn't put a price on his head. Why is she so insistent about this rejection ceremony? What could she possibly get from me? Mate benefits only get paid out based on a death. Adam stood from cleaning up the broken pieces of my phone. He looked as if he wanted to say something. I sighed before waving at him. "Go ahead. Say whatever you have to say." At the risk of getting thrown against the wall, I don't think Rachel wants any benefits at all. She doesn't care about your money. Don't be ridiculous. Everyone cares about my money. My entire world revolved around money and power. Housewright had moved up in the world of both wolves and man by conquering the entertainment industry to the tune of over $1 billion. Moonrise Entertainment held contracts over too many labels to count. Everyone who was anyone in Hollywood wanted to be represented by one of our agents. My earliest memories were of sitting at my father's side in his boardroom while he lorded over his subordinates. I knew how to close a deal before I learned how to drive a car. I had more experience closing deals than driving, come to that. "I don't think so, man. She told her dad off yesterday." I had seen some of the footage from Patrick's temper tantrum in the lobby. I had stopped watching as soon as Rachel appeared on camera. Seeing her upset my wolf too much to risk watching her. Wind only knew he wanted his mate, Rain, back at his side. He didn't care if Rachel and I got along or not. Life was a lot simpler to my wolf. I wished I could see things the way he did. "What? Explain." Adam shrugged. "Not much to explain. Her old man was running his mouth about how he was owed by you and how you better pay up. She told him your money was yours and you didn't owe him shit." I somehow doubt Rachel told her father I don't owe him shit. What did she actually say? No, really, she said something like it was your money. It wasn't her money or his money. She was adamant about it. Adam tended to be more colorful with his language than any of my other immediate staff. I liked him for his honesty. He looked troubled. I wanted to know what he was holding back more than I wanted my next breath. "What aren't you telling me?" Adam rubbed the back of his neck as he looked away from me to finish. "He slapped the hell out of her. He hit her hard enough to leave bruises." Wind roared in my mind, and my vision went dark for a terrifying moment before I regained control of my body. I brought myself back under control only to find I had flipped my desk and thrown everything close to me not nailed down. Adam looked at me from where he was seeking cover behind the bar. I worked on controlling my breathing while I listened to my wolf tear me down inside. "You couldn't even protect her. She is our mate. No wonder she wants to leave you." That Omega scum should die for touching her. Rubbing my temples, I ground my teeth together. I need to know what happened. Exactly. He wanted money. She said it was your money, and he couldn't have it. He hit her. I caught her before she hit the floor. She told me to call the cops. I had him arrested since she said to treat him like he was anyone off the street. She left. That's it. That's it. He just beat my mate in front of my beta, and you did nothing to stop him, and that's it." He slapped her before I could react. If he'd gone at her again, I would have stopped him. Don't blame me for not being psychic. How was I supposed to know he'd hit his own daughter in front of a lobby full of people? I growled at him. You were supposed to anticipate anything from that worthless piece of wolfen trash. I am not feeding into your need for a fight. We'll both wind up injured, and I'll wind up pissed off for a long time because you're too much of a control freak to apologize afterwards. Adam knew me too well. We had been friends since we were children. His father was one of my father's betas. No one was surprised when I named him as my main beta. I had surprised the pack when I hadn't listed out more soldiers to take a beta role. Giving some duties to Adam was hard enough for me. I knew I couldn't delegate enough to need more betas. I was a control freak that way. Help me with this desk. I didn't really need help with the desk, but it was as close as I could come to admit I was wrong to snap at Adam. He took the offer as the olive branch it was designed to be and helped me write my furniture. Some of this will need to be replaced. What time are you meeting Rachel tomorrow? We might be able to go furniture shopping before or after. Take your mind off the ceremony. I'm not meeting Rachel tomorrow. Adam quirked a brow at me. You aren't? Why, pray tell, are you not meeting her for the rejection ceremony you agreed to today? Rachel had been given a chance at rejection and missed it. My wolf yearned for hers with a passion so intense it was causing me to have a migraine. I had no idea how she was able to stand it, but then again, Rachel had already completed her side of the rejection. I'm a busy man. You're not that busy. I will be tomorrow. Like you said, I have to buy furniture. Adam paused to think about what he was going to say next. I could practically see the gears in his head spinning. He was careful when he responded. I don't know if he was afraid I would lose control to my wolf again, or afraid I would keep control and start a fight with him anyway. Have you considered Rachel might just want you to show her you care? My brows drew together as I tried to understand his logic. What do you mean? How does agreeing to a rejection ceremony show I care about her? Adam straightened a chair, then sat in it. She might not want the rejection at all. When was the last time you were nice to her? Bought her flowers? Took her out on a date? Literally showed her you cared? The answer was never, and we both knew it. Rachel and I had never been on what would be considered a date. I met her when I was at Lust for the night. I had drank too much to drive home, so the club owner had offered me a room upstairs. She'd been something out of a dream when she'd come into my room and shifted into my beautiful, naked mate right on my floor. Rachel had run from me after our one night together. A need for money had brought her back to me, and the check I'd written to buy her brother's freedom had sold any tenderness I might have felt for her. That sounds ridiculous. Women can be ridiculous, to us. It makes sense to them, Adam shrugged. What have you got to lose? She's already rejected you. If you don't want to reject her, be nice to her. The idea of being nice to Rachel was ludicrous to me. I snorted. She wishes. Find out about Patrick's debt. Pay it. Make sure he knows this is the last time, and Adam, make sure he knows he is to never, ever put his hands on Rachel again. Adam gave me a grin. With pleasure. Wind clamored in my head for attention. It isn't enough. Find him. Let me tear him to pieces. She's our mate to protect. I closed my eyes as I silently told my wolf, she says she doesn't want to be ours. We have to find out why. I would set Adam to checking up on Rachel after refurnishing my office. I'd see if she was serious about her ridiculous insistence on a rejection ceremony, or if my beta was right and she only wanted some sort of sign of affection. Rachel was a problem right now, but I was a problem solver. I'd figure her out and things would go back to normal. Rachel POV. The next night, 8 p.m. Tyler had been true to his word and never shown up at the garden for the rejection ceremony. I had sat there for the entire day until time for work. I kept thinking he might be testing me. I should have known he would do exactly as he said. Tyler Wright was a man of his word, if nothing else. Bella had tried to convince me to take several days off work. I was having dizzy spells if I stood too quickly, and I often felt nauseated, though I had yet to begin having any vomiting. The obstetrician had suggested I eat small portions many times a day to keep my blood sugar up. He had also said to drink fluids regularly as well as to stay off my feet. I knew I wasn't far enough along with my pregnancy to have swelling yet, but I did notice my feet more. I felt clumsy in a way I had never been in my life. Oddly enough, I still found I wanted to dance throughout my day. I loved the idea of being a mother. If I were to have this baby, I would love him or her with all my heart. While waiting on Tyler to show up at the garden, I had composed more music to pass my time. I'd added lyrics to a song and found myself surprised I was writing about being in love. I thought I had forgotten how it felt to be in love after 3 years of being despised by my mate. But my heart was warmed by memories of my first love, Nathan Lewis. Nathan had called Bella's apartment again, though I had been in the shower at the time. I wished I had gotten to speak with him. Bella had taken his number down for me. Calling Nathan felt possible as I was humming my own love song while sorting the music on the stand. I wondered where the singer had gotten off to, but my boss showed up in a panic. "Rachel," Roy asked, breathless for unknown reasons, "can you sing? Please tell me you can sing as well as you play the piano." "I can sing." I took vocal lessons as part of my studies to get my music degree. "What's happened?" "The singer is sick. She's been feeling off all through the set and she just totally lost it backstage. I need a love song. Do you know one?" Love songs were the most common kind of music aside from religious hymns. I rifled through my memory for my favorites, already preparing to play a piano ballad the audience would recognize. Those did well in the restaurant. "What kind of love song? Does it matter?" "Table 6 is having a proposal. The groom-to-be paid a deposit to make sure we played something romantic and sweet. He wants his girl to say yes, you know." I actually didn't know. No one had ever asked me to marry them. Nathan Lewis and I had been in love in high school. We had joked about having a family together, 12 children, a house with a white picket fence, 2 dogs so they could play with each other when everyone was busy. I remembered dreaming about a marriage proposal from him, even though I knew he wasn't my fated mate. "How would you feel about me playing one of my original pieces? I put words to it today and I think it would work for a proposal." Roy nodded vigorously. "Absolutely. A Rachel original. I love it. I'm sure they're going to love it. Let me get the guys to move the mic over here and send the spotlight over you. You're fine with performing, right? No stage fright?" I laughed and shook my head. "No, I don't have stage fright. I often had to perform for entire concert halls as part of my degree." Recitals had never made me uncomfortable. Music was as natural as breathing to me. I enjoyed sharing my craft with others. Staff moved the spotlight to shine down on me from above, illuminating me in a warm glow. I straightened on the bench automatically in reaction. Roy himself moved the microphone to where it was angled down to allow me to sing into it while playing the piano. "Hello, Blue Diamond." I greeted my audience, beginning to play the opening melody to my song. "I wrote this song about falling in love, and I want to share it with you tonight. The name is Love at the First Sight, and I do hope it reminds you of your first loves too." As I sang Love at the First Sight, I closed my eyes to better feel the mood of the music. I poured all my love into every word while letting my passion empower my playing. The sounds of the restaurant faded away as I got lost in the song. I let my final bars trail off into silence for the span of several heartbeats before applause burst out from every table in the dining hall. Blushing, I said, "Thank you, everyone. I'm glad you were all able to feel the love tonight. Speaking of love, I believe there's a gentleman at table 6 who would now like to borrow our attention for his love." I gestured to the table, and the spotlight operator swung it away from me obediently. The gentleman who stood up from the table appeared close to my age. He was in a nice, crisp suit which he straightened before going down on one knee before the lovely brunette sharing his table. I cried a few tears of joy alongside the bride-to-be as she joyfully accepted his proposal. Both of their hands were shaking as he gave her his ring. The diamond solitaire was stunning under the lights. I clapped along with everyone else when the two shared a lovely kiss. I hoped, in that moment, I would one day experience the kind of love they shared, the kind of love I'd found myself singing about. Everything went smoothly for the rest of the night. The only difference from any other shift I'd had in the restaurant was I switched from piano accompaniment to piano entertainer for the duration of the evening. I stood up from the bench as my final set finished, only to have to sit right back down. Dizziness washed over me. I remembered it had been a longer time than suggested since I last ate anything or had any water. "Are you all right?" Turning to my right, I saw an older gentleman approaching me. "I just need a glass of water. I let the music take over tonight. One of the pitfalls of being the main act instead of just the backup music." We shared a chuckle as he waved one of the waitresses over. He whispered to her for a moment and she disappeared. I figured she was going to bring me the water I'd asked for and thanked him in advance. No, thank you for performing tonight. I'm Howard. Cecilia, the singer tonight, is one of my acts. I'm a producer for Camelot Records. Are you looking for representation? I sucked in a breath as I recognized the name. Camelot Records was a very well-known music production firm. Getting an offer from one of their agents was a dream come true. "I haven't thought about it, sir." The waitress brought me the glass of water, and I used it as an excuse to get myself back under control. "What are you offering exactly?" "I'm offering a meeting with our team to see if you would be a good fit for our group. We're always on the lookout for new talent, and Love at the First Sight had the audience all moved to tears. Hell, I cried a few myself." My hand went to my belly as I realized I wasn't only thinking about a future for myself. I hadn't decided on the baby, but I had to consider there was the chance I would soon be a single mother who needed to provide a good life for an infant. Working with a famous music production firm would pay me much more than being a backup pianist in even a classy restaurant like Blue Diamond. "I would love to meet with your firm, Howard. I'm Rachel, by the way, Rachel Flores." Howard handed me a card and told me he would be in touch to set up the time for the interview. He was kind enough to wait until I finished my water before heading back toward the bar area. I went to the kitchen to find Bella practically dancing all over again. My smile was beaming bright as I found her and grabbed her to spin around in a hug. "Guess what just happened?" What? Bella laughed. "I've got an interview with Camelot Records. They want to sign me." Bella cheered with me, and we made plans to celebrate with some chocolate cake. If I were to get signed, I could get my dream job as a full-time songwriter and maybe earn enough to support myself and a baby. Could it be possible? Could I have two dreams come true? Rachel POV, 1 week later. "I think you really should let me put your hair up at least partially, in case, Bella mimed throwing up. It has been happening a lot lately." I laughed easily because she was right. Morning sickness was troubling me more than expected. I still had dizzy spells and was forced to keep a tight check on my diet, but my whole life had changed in a week. Joy was my constant companion. "Go ahead. I'll just sit here and pretend I'm at the salon." Sitting on the couch, I turned so Bella could reach my hair. She and I were around the same size, which had come in handy in the past when sharing clothes. Our mothers had joked we only became friends to double our wardrobes. I missed my mother terribly. Tears prickled my eyes, and I sniffed at the sudden realization my mother would never see my child. "Seriously? You're crying? You're going to give Salon Bella a bad name. Stop right this instant." "The hormones are getting to me. Salon Bella is providing excellent service. Does the salon offer cosmetic assistance too?" I really didn't want to go do my makeup. Standing in the bathroom for any length of time made me feel ill. My suspicion was the room had poor airflow with only a small window which didn't open. Bella tugged my hair gently. "Needy much? You're lucky you're my favorite customer. Plus, I do not want you going on camera looking like a ghost." I grinned. I know, right? I didn't think it was possible for me to look so white. I was born with a natural golden tan. All the morning sickness, in combination with the problems I was experiencing with my blood pressure, caused me to look pale, almost ashen, all the time. Fatigue wore on me often, but I worked my way through it by focusing on the positives in my life, of which there were many. I can't believe they're doing a press conference. I can't believe it's taken this long for you to realize you're a superstar. Bella cheered as she fetched her cosmetic bag from the bathroom. "Did you check the numbers on YouTube recently? You've gone over 100 million views on the proposal video?" "I haven't checked. I don't want to let it go to my head." I laughed, but I was telling the truth about trying to avoid becoming too impressed with myself. My natural confidence had returned in full force since I'd rejected Tyler. Living with Bella allowed me a freedom of expression I had lost for the full 3 years of my mating. I felt slight guilt Bella was delaying moving in with her mate, Jack, but they were both being supportive of me above their own needs. "Enjoy it. Girl, you are on fire. Flame on!" Bella was the world's best cheerleader. I cheered alongside her as I thought on all those people listening to me sing. My performance at Blue Diamond had been magical for me because it hadn't been planned. All I put out there was myself, only me and nothing else. Feeling accepted, embraced, even adored by millions of people made me feel vindicated for every hour I'd spent composing music alone physically and mentally. My mate hadn't wanted me. My father hadn't wanted me. My first love had been taken from me by the cruelty of fate. Music had been my only outlet, and finally I could prove to the world I was a true musician. "Do you think I should wear something more flashy?" "I don't look too fiery," I admitted. I had left my designer clothes with Tyler. My wardrobe was helped with Bella's due to her generosity of spirit, but I didn't have anything I would consider attention-getting. Not for a press conference. My wolf, Rain, stirred in my mind, offering to me, "I think we should go with blue. Red is gaudy." "Rain says I should go with something blue. Do you have anything I could wear?" My simple dress was too boring by far. The press were looking for a woman who brought a whole restaurant to tears with her music. Showing up in a cotton sundress wasn't captivating to anyone. "Rain is right, as usual," Bella agreed, stopping her work on my face. "I think I have something which will work. Give me a few minutes." Bella hurried to her bedroom closet while I picked up a compact to look at the work she'd done on my face. I had more color with the concealer and foundation. I didn't have to check the lipstick to know it would be a deep red, rich, and bold. I wished I had someone to talk to about my sudden stardom. Bella cheered me on, as did her mate, Jack. My brother had called me to tell me I was amazing after he watched my performance. Patrick, my father, hadn't bothered to reach out at all. I knew he would only come around after the press conference, since he'd be sniffing after any hint of money I could offer him. "Tell me this isn't perfect. I double-dog dare you." Bella crowed as she showed me a gown I'd never seen her wear before. She brought it to me to examine, and I noticed the tags were still on it. Raising a brow, I asked, "Never found a reason to wear it yourself? Can you blame me? It isn't exactly the kind of thing I could wear out for coffee or for a bite at a diner with Jack." I was a little intimidated by the sleek satin sheath with its ultra-thin straps. Bella was offering me a dress daring even by her standards, and I was going to wear it. It's perfect. I was not going to cower in any corner any longer. My music had finally been noticed. I stood up and stripped, slipping the dress on only to realize I would have to forgo my bra. Fine, I would go without. I was a bold, daring woman whose music moved mountains and the hearts of my audience. I shimmied out of my undergarment, then smoothed my borrowed gown into place. "Then this was made for you, Rachel. Absolutely made for you." Bella sounded breathless. I called it a victory. "I think we should go meet my agent now." I straightened my spine, drew my shoulders back proudly, and made my way to the door. I could still enjoy walking in heels, even if I did worry my stomach might rebel at some point. We wound up arriving at the auditorium of Camelot Records early enough to only be snapped a few times by the most ambitious paparazzi. Howard, who remained my agent, ushered us over to an area in the wings off the edge of the stage. Camelot Records did private audiences at their headquarters to promote new acts. I would be singing my song, Love at the First Sight, for the press before they were going to be allowed to interview me. "We have you a seat reserved up front," Howard directed, pushing Bella off to her place, and me towards the piano as if we had done this 1,000 times before. "Go to Brent, head of security, and he'll bring you back to the mixer afterward, Bella." I hugged Bella once, tight, before taking the stage with the gait of a woman walking toward her destiny. I wasn't an unwanted, fated mate. I wasn't a pregnant woman facing raising a child alone. I wasn't the sad, small woman I had let Tyler Wright turn me into for 3 years. As I settled on the piano bench before my audience, I was Rachel Flores, singer, songwriter, star. Tyler POV, Camelot Records Auditorium. No wonder you've kept her hidden all these years. I wouldn't want the world trying to steal my woman all the time either. Dylan Roberts had been my best friend since we were boys. He was the youngest son of House Roberts, who were the alpha house of New Moon Pack. My father had wanted me to have strong friends. All the boys put into my orbit growing up had been potential new alpha leaders, or betas at least. The merit of a friendship was judged based on how useful the friendship could prove to be in the future, as far as Alpha John Wright was concerned. I doubted my father had ever had a conversation without first weighing whether or not he could benefit from the exchange of words. Thanks for letting me sign her. I gotta admit I was surprised you agreed to it with the travel involved in her tour package, but it's a very generous... Travel? Dylan looked at me with a short bark of laughter. Tyler, have you heard anything I've said? We signed your wife last week with one of the most ambitious tour schedules in years. People are hungry for exactly the intimate performance experience Rachel delivers, and she does deliver every single time, man. She's a natural. Silence. I closed my eyes in frustration as I ground my teeth together. My wolf was getting away from me again. Wind had completely taken over to snap at Dylan. I apologize, Dylan. Wind is not keen on the attention Rachel is getting. He'd also like it noted she is our mate, not our wife. Understandable, Dylan agreed cautiously, edging back toward the stage as he eyed me. I'm going to go check in with the team. Make sure everything is ready to go. I let him run while he could. Wind radiated a smug aura in my mind, which I couldn't fault him for, as he was a strong alpha. Wind had not been the one to lose our mate. I shouldered the blame alone for Rachel's absence. Damn right you do. It's your place to get her back, too. Do you have any suggestions for returning her? I asked my wolf, feeling a fool for having a conversation with myself in public, even if it were entirely confined to my mind. Why would I have any idea how to get your mate back? My mate didn't leave me. Your mate left you. Wind had a point. Rain had gone with Rachel the way Wind would always have to go with me. Our wolves were trapped inside us as much as we were trapped with our wolves. I sometimes envied the silence humans must enjoy inside the sanctity of their private minds. I knew the quiet wouldn't be worth the trade-off, though. Humans were an overall weak race, and I had not been bred to tolerate weakness. Dylan had not returned in some time, and the stage remained empty. I was growing more restless than the reporters. Unsurprising, I supposed, as reporters were regularly expected to wait while I waited for no one. Moonrise Entertainment handled many press conferences every single week. I was annoyed over the extensive delay in presenting the talent. I told myself I was frustrated by the lack of professionalism, but Wind gave a snort inside my mind to prove he knew my irritation was fueled solely by my impatience to lay eyes on my mate again. Dylan was shaking hands with an older man by the wings. I couldn't see Rachel. My view was obstructed as my stepsister Charlotte made her way in front of me. Tyler, you have to meet Nathan Lewis. He's alpha heir to Full Moon Pack. He says he knows Rachel. I didn't care if Nathan Lewis knew the location of the Holy Grail, the Fountain of Youth, and Osama bin Laden's weapons cache. If he kept blocking my view of my mate, I was going to kill him. Holding his hands up jokingly, Nathan offered, Easy, big fella. I'm only here as a friend. I promise I will leave your little sister in the same peace I found her in. I don't give a damn how you leave Charlotte. She's capable of handling her own affairs. Charlotte had never needed a male to take care of her. She wasn't delicate the way Rachel had always been. I suppose my father was lucky in his daughter because I'd never been responsible for protecting my sister. Ouch. Char, you sure Big Brother has your best interests at heart? Don't worry about Tyler. He's all bark and no bite. I had plenty to say about her description, but right then, Rachel appeared on the stage and the world fell away. A slip of blue silk whispered over her body, molding itself to her curves and moving as smooth as water being poured into a glass. Her skin glowed with health. She'd paired a set of red stilettos with the dress for a pop of color. I couldn't stop staring at how long and strong her legs looked. Applause sounded throughout the audience as she settled on the piano bench. Dylan returned to my side and bumped my shoulder with his own. She's a real showstopper, right? Rachel had a natural magnetism to her. I'd thought it was a sign of inheriting her grifter father's thieving ways, but there was almost no deception in Rachel at all. She didn't even tell polite lies gracefully, so she'd mastered the art of creative omission. I had been the reason she'd needed to learn the skill. I wasn't proud of how I had treated her. I wasn't ashamed of it either. Rachel had been cared for from the first moment she had entered my life. I could have done better, but she could have done worse as well. Stop growling, would you? You're going to ruin the atmosphere. I clamped down on my emotions, forcing wind back to the farthest reaches of my consciousness as Rachel began to play. Closing my eyes, I let myself feel the music. Her voice was a gentle breeze on a hot summer day. The piano was rain sprinkling down in spring. My wolf preferred to sleep with his mate at his side. I had indulged my nature by playing the YouTube video of Rachel singing Love at the First Sight as I readied myself for sleep at night. With my eyes closed, I could remember the exact moment I had first laid eyes on her in lust. I knew this song was about her love for me. I can't believe it, you really like this one, Dylan chortled in my ear. This is my song, I told him confidently. Rachel is singing about the first time we met. I can tell. Dylan was grinning from ear to ear as I opened my eyes at the end of the song. The audience went crazy. They loved Rachel. She was a star. My father was going to have plenty to say to me about not handling her contract myself. Who knew what was included in the fine print? Dylan wouldn't try to take advantage of my mate out of malice, but there were business standards in entertainment which were accepted practice to try to arrange for the good of the production company. Dylan and I were the best of friends, yet friendship did have limits within the business realm. He was going to try to do right for Camelot Records the way I would always try to do my best for Moonrise Entertainment. We're going to start the interview now. Shh. I heard, looking over to find Nathan Lewis patting my sister Charlotte on the arm to try to settle her down to better hear the reporters up front. Rachel Flores, everyone. Rachel, I think the question on everyone's mind has to be, what was the inspiration for Love at the First Sight? Have you felt love at first sight yourself? Are you singing from experience? Rachel gave a throaty laugh I hadn't heard in far too long. She stood from the piano bench to share the standing mic with the famous announcer who represented Camelot Records in their press junkets, Carlton Joy. I have actually felt love at first sight. This song was inspired by my own life. I consider myself blessed to have the memories. So you're not with your first love? I am currently single, Rachel allowed with a toothy grin which earned her some wild applause. You've got to give us more, Carlton urged. At least give us a little more of a peek behind the scenes, Rachel. Please? Rachel laughed again. You surely aren't interested in hearing this? Oh, okay. So I was finishing high school, I murmured confidently. Dylan raised a brow at me as Rachel finished. A freshman in high school. Dylan mimed being shot through the chest, and I crossed my arms to avoid punching him. What did Rachel mean, a freshman in high school? We hadn't even met. I had known his family all my life. I'd thought he was cute, but he had never noticed me. I got turned around in the halls, wound up in the wrong class, and he offered to walk me back to piano. Then he stayed for my lesson, just to hear me play. I knew I would feel happy if I could just play for him for the rest of my life. I didn't pay attention to the rest of the interview. Instead, I was focused on the flush on Nathan Lewis's face and the fact he was paying far too much attention to my mate. The minute the interview was over, I shot to my feet. I was going to have words with Rachel. Rachel POV, Camelot Records Auditorium. I was going to vomit. Rachel, I'm so proud of you. We had hundreds of thousands of viewers tuned in. They're going crazy for your real-life love story. Waving at Howard, I gestured to the restroom. I'm so glad. Please excuse me, I need to... Now you want to be excused? Why the urge now? Stunned, I found myself unable to finish speaking. I hadn't expected Tyler to be present for the press conference. Moonrise Entertainment did a lot of business with Camelot Records, but my contract would have been no interest to them as I was signed as a live act with recording contracts only. Moonrise dealt with performers whose work was in film or special productions. They could sell out based on their limited engagement status. My tour schedule was going to keep me busy for the next 2 years. I wouldn't be a rare commodity anywhere except my own bed, which suited me fine, as I didn't even have a bed to call my own at present. Aren't you going to explain yourself? I don't see what I have to explain, Tyler. Why do you care? Why are you even here? I can't come see my mate perform tricks for an audience. Everyone is welcome except me? I winced at his description. Some would think I felt as if I were being put on display as a prized pet, but I saw this press conference as a chance to showcase my musical talent, which I'd been forced to hide away for too long already. I was not going to be shamed into silence because Tyler Wright was hurt. My life hadn't ended when I rejected him. Straightening my spine, I forced down my nausea to bite out. I was told this press conference was to introduce me and my music to the world as Camelot Records' latest signed artist. They seemed quite pleased with my tricks. If you're unimpressed, you're welcome to leave. If you want to stay, you're welcome to do that too. Give me my rejection, and I won't care who welcomes you where for the rest of your life. You talk too much, Tyler said bitterly. He stopped looking at me. I was glad for the reprieve because my nausea was touch and go. The pregnancy sickness had taken hold of me with a vengeance. I wasn't safe from it based on time of day or type of meal I ate. All I could do was find a facility when the urge struck and clean myself up afterwards. No, I didn't talk enough. If I had, I would have told you I was leaving years ago to spare us both this moment. Excuse me. I desperately needed the restroom facility to splash water on my face if nothing else. I could sometimes fight back the nausea if I cooled myself down quickly enough. Tyler would have to hold on to his offended sensibilities for a few moments while I composed myself. Go, Howard urged me, touching my elbow gently to catch my attention, giving a subtle nod to Tyler to let me know he would handle him for a few moments. I had no words for my gratitude, so I hoped my relieved smile was enough. I didn't hear what Howard was saying. My focus was on getting into the bathroom to cool down. I felt as if I were wearing a shroud rather than the delicate blue silk sheath Bella had loaned me. Soaking paper towels under the cool water, I rubbed the back of my neck, my collarbones, down into my décolletage. I chased away every hint of sweat with the cold, refreshing towels and gradually found my temperature going down along with the urge to be sick. Don't tell me you're sick of fame already. I would think you'd be loving this as attention-starved as you are, but what do I know? Charlotte Wright was the last person I wanted to talk with alone in the lavatory. I finished refreshing myself, then tossed the used towels before striding past her without a word. She dogged my footsteps, which was fitting for a bitch of her caliber. Ready for your adoring audience again, are you? Better hurry. They'll forget your name if you're gone too long. I doubt that. My name is on all the signs, brochures, and the limited edition drives you can get a copy of my hit song on if you're with the press. I could ask my agent if he could get one for your personal use, Charlotte, if you're feeling left out. I have an extra right here. Howard held out a thumb drive with my name and new logo on it. He beamed at her with his best agent smile on display. It was all teeth like a shiny-toothed shark, just as an agent should be. I would have kissed him right on his bald head if Tyler hadn't been right there. You absolute bitch. Char! Wow, the language is a little much, don't you think? I was stunned into silence as I realized Nathan Lewis had stepped out of my teenage dreams into my reality. Charlotte Wright looked as if he'd slapped her in the face. I wanted to hug his neck. Damn my ex-mate for lurking like a giant alpha hole. Nathan, I said, what are you doing here? I'm friends with Charlotte, who I was under the impression was a friend of yours, but I'm questioning that assumption now. Charlotte Wright would have been invited as part of House Wright representing Moonrise Pack and their interests in the entertainment industry. She wouldn't have come if not for Nathan. I didn't need her to tell me as much. I'm only trying to clue you into the real Rachel. You do know she spent the last several years living off my brother's good nature? Nathan sent a confused glance toward Tyler, who looked anything other than good-natured. I can't believe this is the first time we've met in person. We never seemed to be in the same place at the same time before. Charlotte attended summer school with me, while Rachel and I shared secondary school together during the regular terms. It seems Rachel still remembers me as fondly as I remember her, too. I found myself answering Nathan's smile with my own. He'd always been able to get a smile out of me no matter how hard my day might have been. There were some people whose personalities were infectious, and Nathan Lewis was one of those. I couldn't believe my luck. He'd heard my interview, live, laughing. I shook my head. Nathan Lewis, there is no woman on earth who would ever be able to forget you. You are the kind of man who is unforgettable. I must be missing something, though, because I think this might be the guy you left me for? The reason we didn't make it to college together? My smile faded the way my dreams had on those long-ago nights. She says she's his mate, Charlotte said smugly. Then she's his mate, Nathan stated. Char, you're friends with some females who redefine the rules of the game, but Rachel never played. I always knew if she found her fated mate, we would be over. I wondered, of course, but I respect her enough not to pry. You should show some respect yourself, because what you are showing isn't pretty. Watch how you talk to my sister. Tyler snapped. Naturally, he wouldn't defend me. The difference between Tyler and Nathan was as obvious as night and day, for all they both were alpha heir to their respective houses. You don't care your sister watches how she talks to your mate? Former mate, I slid in smoothly, moving forward to place myself between Howard and Nathan as I angled myself away from Tyler. Tyler Wright and I are finalizing our rejection ceremony. After 3 years of trying, we have come to understand we are not suitable as mates regardless of the moon goddess' intentions. Nathan raised his brows in surprise. I knew it was a shock for me to come right out and confess to a formal rejection rite. Fated mates were precious to all our kind, and Nathan had known I was saving my virginity for my own, as it was the only reason we had never been intimate. Are you hoping for a second chance, mate? I found myself returning his grin again. Maybe I am? I've done quite well with love at the first sight. Why couldn't my next hit be love at a second glance? You can send a second glance my way anytime, Rachel Flores. Maybe I will, Nathan Lewis. Maybe I just will. Enough, Tyler barked, grabbing my arm to drag me away from the group. You owe me a conversation. Now! Rachel POV. Outside Camelot Records auditorium. Enough is right, Tyler. Stop. I tugged as hard as I could against his towing grasp. My heels nearly snapped from the effort to hold me still as he tried to pull me inexorably onward to who knew where. I was tired of letting this male drag me through life. Tyler could say what he had to say and then let me go. We both had separate lives to lead. Enough time had been lost by both of us on this misery of a mating. What do you want from me, Rachel? Tyler was nearly shouting in my face. I couldn't get over the level of fury in his voice. How had I angered him so much? Was it so terrible I'd gotten a job? Should I have talked to him before signing the contract with Camelot Records? I couldn't understand why he was acting furious all of a sudden. What do you want from me, Tyler? I clasped my hands in front of my body to keep them from shaking visibly. I wouldn't show any more weakness than I already had. Tyler was a powerful alpha to my omega breeding, and the differences between us had never been so obvious. He towered over me. Come to that, Tyler was even taller than Nathan, who was an alpha in his own right. Are you really this angry about the contract? I didn't use your name. I didn't mention you at all. There's no connection between us on paper or anywhere else I can think of, so why? I don't care about your recording contract. Then why are you here? Why are you shouting at me, dragging me around? What do you want from me? Tyler grimaced at me. You are infuriating. I've taken care of you, haven't I? You've had the best of everything. Clothes, shoes, bags, jewelry. I made sure you had access to an account for the household expenses. Your schooling you wanted was arranged. What didn't I give you? What didn't you, Tyler? I was stunned as I realized he really had no idea how isolative the last years had been for me. I opened and closed my mouth twice before finally realizing I would have to tell him because he wouldn't recognize on his own. Tyler, you never loved me. Tyler made a rude sound. Love, I provided for you. That's better than love. No, Tyler, I shook my head sadly. It really is not. There's no substitute for love. We are better off apart because you can't see that, and it's all I can see. Please, Tyler, for your sake. For my sake. Give me my rejection. Rejection, rejection, rejection. You're trying my patience beyond what any man could stand. Let me go. That's all you have to do. Why can't you just let me go? Fine, Tyler roared, grabbing me by my arms and shaking me hard enough to rattle my teeth. I will give you the rejection you want. Tomorrow at noon. Be at the goddess shrine, or I swear you will regret it, Rachel. I'll be there. I will. Tyler let me go as if he couldn't stand to be near me for one more second, and I clasped my hands over my stomach instinctively as a roil of nausea reminded me I wasn't alone anymore. My body really needed to adapt to pregnancy faster. I wasn't going to have time to pamper myself with my tour schedule. I would have to be very, very careful about how I was captured by the media, too. Tyler was unhappy about letting me go. I couldn't imagine how he would react if he found out I was leaving him with his potential heir in tow. Going back into the auditorium, I looked around until I saw my group again. Charlotte Wright was clinging to Nathan Lewis as if he were her lifesaver, and she'd die without him. He was a fine man along with being a fine catch for a mate. She could do a lot worse for House Wright than snagging the heir of House Lewis. Howard was smiling his shark smile, which told me he was holding Charlotte back for me. He was proving to be a wonderful resource. I was grateful he'd signed me to Camelot Records. Dylan Roberts was having a sidebar conversation with a furious Tyler. I knew Dylan as Tyler's close friend better than I knew him as the driving force behind Camelot Records. He was far above my station as the newest hire on the label. I would have to prove myself many times over to warrant his time. My knees went weak as I saw Bella's anxious face peeking around Howard. I had worried she was still trapped out in the lobby. She must have been escorted through by security early. "Howard," I asked, touching his arm to get his attention, "I'm feeling terrible. Is it possible for me to skip out early on this mixer? I promise I'll double up on interviews or speak in private with people or even do lunch dates, dinner dates. I need to get home tonight. Is that at all possible?" Howard's eyes swept over my face, and he must have found what he was looking for, because he nodded. "Of course, I'll make excuses tonight, and we can pass it off as being overwhelming for your first night in the spotlight. Good deal?" Stage fright was a foreign concept to me. I had been performing before an audience all my life in one way or another, but I nodded eagerly. I would take any escape Howard could offer me. The very last thing I wanted was to be ill in front of reporters, and potentially Tyler as well. "Thank you, Howard. You're a lifesaver. Let's get out of here." Bella agreed, wrapping her slim arm around my waist so we could slide through the crowd together more easily. I let her lead me out, waving a few times when it seemed as if someone wanted to come over. I hoped I wasn't being taken as rude, but it was a risk I was willing to use as a trade-off to get out of the mixer. How was I going to hide a pregnancy as I got further along? I wasn't even visibly pregnant yet. I felt as if the world could tell already. When we reached the sidewalk, Bella waved down a cab and I directed, "We need to go to the hospital, please, right now." Bella looked at me with alarm and I sighed. I wasn't feeling very enthusiastic about explaining myself to my best friend. "Have you made a decision? You know you can wait until tomorrow. Sleep on it." I shook my head. "No, I've decided. I just need to get through this before I lose my nerve." Bella took my hand in hers, and I held on gratefully. I could use someone to be my anchor in the storm. We were in this together, even if I had never wanted to make my problems into Bella's or to interfere with her life as much as I had over the years. We unloaded at the hospital where I went into the ER to register. I wasn't making the choice Bella imagined. I was so nauseated, though. Something would have to be done if I was going to survive any more public appearances. An attendant took me back quickly after finding out I was pregnant. I was grateful for their haste. They had me strip myself into a gown before taking me for an ultrasound. I didn't think it was necessary, but I was excited by the prospect of seeing my baby on the screen. There they are, all safe. "See, Mama? Your little one is growing right along. Can you tell if they're healthy?" "Absolutely," the technician said, moving the wand and pointing on the screen to various parts of the anatomy. "Arms and legs are forming. You can see the flutter of the heart. Too early for a gender right now, but it won't be long. The first one is always the most magical, I think." I had wanted a large family. The reality was this might be my only child since I had rejected my mate. There was no guarantee the moon goddess would grant me a second chance mate, and even if she did, another child wasn't a certainty. Werewolf families were choosing to be more particular in their breeding habits. Tyler had never wanted children because he only saw them as being used for bargaining chips in alpha households. I waited until I was dressed again to ask about something I would be able to take for nausea while moving through the early stages of pregnancy. No matter what decision I might have considered before seeing my baby on the monitor, I was not giving up my child now. The baby in my belly had gone from a problem I needed to solve to being a person whose existence I would do everything in my power to protect. No one would take my child from me. He or she would be loved. They would have their needs met. I wouldn't be able to give them a traditional family upbringing, but I was confident I could raise a child with enough love for two parents. "All right, lady," I said, tugging Bella up from her seat in the lobby. "Let's get us home. We're having a baby and we need our rest." "You're serious this time, then? You're keeping it?" "I'm keeping it," I agreed. "We're going to be great," Bella crowed, spinning me around before hugging me hard. "Oh, I'm sorry. You're not going to be sick, are you?" "No, I'm good for now. They gave me some medication for nausea, medication and recommendations for ginger ale and crackers." I gave Bella a wry grin as we made our way out to head home again. I had a feeling we were going to be buying stock in ginger ale and crackers if my little one had anything to say about it. Tyler POV. Lust. Going back to the beginning sounded like a better idea than it was proving to be as a reality. "You want another drink?" Tyler nudged his tumbler back toward the bartender, who obediently refilled it. They were drinking well drinks which were higher quality at Lust than other establishments. One of the main advantages to being a patron of Lust was the fact all their amenities were better than the average establishments, and their prices reflected as much. "Rachel is everywhere, man. I swear your mate is going to double my next quarter returns. Every news agency has run a byline or at least a blurb. She's on all the social medias. She's trending on most of them." "Dylan?" Dylan looked up from his phone with barely concealed glee plastered all over his face. He was loving the success Camelot was celebrating courtesy of Rachel's fame. She was approaching meteoric, if his yammering was anything to go on, and Tyler knew Dylan. Dylan never exaggerated his business dealings with him. They were too close to compete with one another in the business arena. As far as Tyler was concerned, Dylan Roberts was the brother he'd always wanted for himself. Dylan was a hell of a lot more reliable than his actual brother William. "Shut up. I don't want to talk about Rachel." "That makes you the only one. You want to tell me what you do want to talk about? Why are we here of all places? You have an itch I should be helping you scratch." Neither of them were above admitting they'd indulged in the offerings of the club in the past. Paying for sex was easier than working for it with a lot of talk, though neither Dylan nor Tyler had ever needed to worry about buying company. They could have gotten women based on looks and alpha status alone. With their money and name recognition, most women would accept a pickup from either of them. No itches. I'm just trying to remind myself of something. Something wouldn't happen to be the first time you met one. Rachel Flores, would it? Dylan was going to be spoon-fed his shit-eating grin if he didn't wipe it off his face. Tyler frowned at him. "You know I met her here." "Yes, I do remember. It was a pretty memorable night for both of us. I got to experience twins, and you found your fated mate, only to lose her hours later. I still remember how you sounded when you called me asking if I had seen her leave." Tyler hadn't known what to think about his mate taking off without even leaving her name. She never explained fully, but Tyler knew it had something to do with her father's gambling debts. They had wound up in a world of misery together thanks to Patrick Flores and his bad luck at the gaming hells. Her old man put her up to that. You know, right? Tyler nodded and finished throwing back his drink. He dragged his finger around the rim of the glass as he considered whether he wanted to tie one on or go slow. Liquor made things easier to bear, but it also had the side effect of making Tyler vulnerable to spilling his feelings out for others to hear. "Would you like another, sir?" "I'd like one," a feminine voice cooed. and Tyler tensed, frowning as he watched Jenny slide onto the stool beside him. "I think my friend will take one as well. We're going to drink to our health." Tyler covered his glass with his hand to stop the bartender from pouring. He wasn't in the mood to deal with Jenny. Was the woman having some sort of psychotic episode? She had to know he'd been serious when he'd shooed her away before. "Jenny, what are you doing here?" "I like the drinks and the company," Jenny said. "Aren't you going to share even one drink with me for old time's sake?" Jenny pouted, and Tyler had to resist the urge to slap her. How could he have ever thought she was beautiful? She was so fake, it was almost as if he were watching a robot pretending to be human. He doubted Jenny had felt anything real in years. "No, we aren't keeping company together, Jenny. You should find someone else to occupy your time with now." Tyler wasn't going to have anything to do with her in the future. He was rejecting his mate tomorrow, then he was going to drink until he forgot he'd performed the rejection ritual. After that, Tyler just hoped he woke up with his memory intact so he didn't have to relive losing Rachel again. "I don't want to find someone else. I've already found you, and you're all I want, Tyler." Jenny pressed her breasts against my arm as she leaned over me. I could smell the liquor on her breath. I wanted to shove her away, but before I could, a waiter tripped, spilling a pair of champagne flutes all over Jenny. "You idiot!" she shrieked. "I'm so sorry, lady. Let me get you a towel." The bartender hastily wiped at the spill on the bar with his rag. He offered a stack of fine napkins as he tried to soothe Jenny. Her dress didn't look as if it were good material to be doused in alcohol. "I want to speak to your manager. Right now." "I said I was sorry," the boy snapped, turning the tray over to the bartender. He looked as annoyed as Jenny. I was getting a headache just thinking about the situation and stood up, ready to leave. There was nothing for me here in this club. I had found my fated mate here purely by chance, or literally by the hand of fate if common beliefs about the moon goddess were to be believed, and I wasn't going to have another try to find her again. A man made his way over to our group as I was paying. I placed several bills down. There would be plenty for a tip remaining, even if the drinks were twice as expensive as I estimated. "Tyler, let me just settle this and we can go." "We aren't going anywhere, Jenny." I would be damned before I would take Jenny anywhere ever again. I was sick of the fake bitch, and I just wanted to go home. To my empty house. "Of course we are. You've finally gotten that gold-digging whore out of your life so we can be together. Rachel isn't your concern." I was prepared to have to fight Jenny off to get out of the club, but I wasn't prepared to get a fist to the face. My cheek exploded in pain and my vision blanked out for a moment. There was a lot of power behind the sucker punch. Who had hit me? Why? What was going on? "You are so getting fired. I will have your ass thrown in jail for this." "Tyler, are you all right? Get him some ice." "Right now, idiot." The bartender moved to start putting ice into a cloth while shooting panicked glances at the kid who had spilled his tray on Jenny. What was this kid thinking? I had a good 6 inches on him in height, not to mention more muscle than worth measuring. I could take him apart without even using any of my wolf abilities. Jenny went to press the ice to my face, and I shoved her off. "Do not touch me, Jenny." Trouble in paradise already? I shot a confused look at the boy. I really had no idea what had set him off on me. Did he have a thing for Jenny? Was he some scorned lover? She seemed too old for him, and she was definitely out of his league from a social standpoint. "What? Aren't you supposed to be sweeping her off her feet to save her from the bad waiter?" I wasn't interested in whatever was happening. I shrugged irritably as Dylan stood to try to get between me and the kid. "I think we need to take a minute to breathe here. Tyler, you should get some of that ice." "What's the problem, kid?" "What's the problem?" "The problem is his slut just called my sister a whore, and he didn't even try to defend her." "Rachel is your sister?" I searched his face with my eyes, and I could see a resemblance to Rachel there, though he definitely looked more like Patrick than Rachel. He must not have inherited much from their mother. I had never allowed Rachel to bring her family to my home, so this was the first time I'd even seen the boy. "Yes, Rachel is my sister, you asshole. Who did you think I was? Are you such a tool? People punch you every day?" "Ethan, that is enough." I realized the manager must have arrived as a woman slipped between me and the waiter. She held a hand up in front of Ethan, as if she were warding him off. I wished he would try to hit me again. I could use the chance to let off some steam of my own, though. One good hit from me might take him out. Was he even old enough to be in this club? No, Ethan. Keep talking. Tell me all about it.